Hello again, this is Paul Greenwood within the Courtyard, part 2. Our leader led us to the sanctuary, where we will pray and receive our orders. As we are standing outside the sanctuary, our leader addresses us, telling us each and every one will receive an envelope with our orders inside. Those who cannot read, well, it doesn't matter, because they're all the same. We then lined up easily, so took in turns to enter the sanctuary for prayer. 2 went in before me. As I entered the small room, and the mat in the centre of the floor was the only item of furniture, I stood just behind the locked door and opened the envelope. The orders read that our leader and all of us had to steal 3 cars. With these cars in our hands, we were to fit them with explosives robbed at the beginning of the war. Cars would be driven to the open-air market and set off, killing as many bystanders as possible. Those who are left are to be strapped with explosives, go to where soldiers of the unbelievers are recruited, set off the explosive, so killing as many of our enemies as possible. So I now knew that I was to become a hero. After all the missions of hate, the killing of our enemies, I was now to become the ultimate killing machine. So cunning, a machine that couldn't be stopped. Took a big breath, and out onto the mat and prayed. I prayed to my God for forgiveness, for him to make my mission prosperous and to look after my parents. I also prayed that the enemy would soon be off home, defeated by us, his believers, and them humiliated. Also I asked him to get the maidens ready as I was on my way. And so was my friends. I got up from the mat, knocked on the door, which was then opened. On entering the outside, I made my way to where the others were standing. We all looked at one another, but no words were spoken. Nothing needed to be said. We were all in the shadow of death. I looked at my friend. His face was wet with sweat. It was dripping through the worn crevices of lines down to his chin, then onto his soiled old clothing, creating a new stain on top of old. Though the sun was old, the shadows long, he looked as if the sun was high, as if he had been exploiting himself. What I saw must have been mirrored reflection of myself, as I could see the concern enter the drawn, weary face of my friend. We both knew what was to come, brothers in arms and brothers in death. After all the missions, all the deaths, brothers wounded, here we are looking at one another, looking into the war veteran faces, trying to find any faults of normality. None, though, could be found. We have all been through so much together, fighting, killing, running and in hiding. Now we were looking at one another as strangers. The faces that we had got used to, they were now like older, with the creases of worry and death. In just a short time they had all become sullen with the joy of being heroes, also being in the throes of death. After everyone had been through the sanctuary and said their prayers, we all walked back to the meeting house. On entering, we took to our seats as before. Our leader also took his place at the front. When we were all seated and still, our leader then addressed us. He started by saying, "Well, my brothers in arms, it seems that we are going to do our last mission. The time has come to do our enemies one large big blow to their morale. Hopefully our mission, our commitment, our deaths will lead us to victory over the unbelievers." He then went on about how and when we were to start our mission, where we are to hide. Only the men who were detailed to steal the cars left the meeting early. They went with the dignitaries to the holding house. We had to disperse quite quickly and move to our safe house. This was because enemies were close, doing an area search. We are sure there is an enemy spy in our midst somewhere. It always seems that when we hold our meetings, our enemy never seems far, always looking in the right area. This time we were lucky. Some of our friends have not been so lucky, caught whilst in a meeting and having to fight their way out, losing quite a few comrades in the process. End of part 2.